I pledge allegiance to Yahwah Almighty, who has blessed the Republic of the United States of America, and to that Republic for which those red, white, and blue stars and stripes stand, one nation, under God. Which God? There's only one. It's the God that we pledge allegiance to. One God, Yahwah. Under Yahwah, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, listen to that woman. She's changed our Pledge of Allegiance. Well, I just put it in the proper perspective. You know it's been changed before. As I've shared before on this program, by the way, this program is dedicated to women, especially the American woman, and I call America as a woman. She is in perilous times right now. And who we call upon as a nation is going to make a vast difference. Therefore, the change in the Pledge of Allegiance has been made once before. There used to never be a phrase under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Search it out. Later on in time, we had a scriptural, somewhat believing president introduce under God. But which God? I pledge allegiance to a piece of cloth? No. We pledge allegiance, our dedication, our consecration to one God, Yahwah, who has blessed the land that we live in only because we have maintained a portion of His Word. Yeah, you heard me right. We have had people raise up to try to set things in order. And they've done a pretty good job in uncovering, exposing, and judging the underworld that has overtaken our nation for 50 or plus years. So we pledge allegiance to the God, Yahwah, who blessed this nation. Why did He bless this nation? Why was this nation established? Do you remember? Do you know the history of the 13 colonies? Do you know where they escaped from? They escaped from the British monarchy, hierarchy of monarchy rule for religious freedom. And know this, that our nation was established on the principles of the 10 Commandments. And who is the author of the 10 Commandments? Our only God, Yahwah. Well, He's a God called by many names. Where do you find that? It's nowhere to be found in the Scripture. As a matter of fact, if you have not studied or heard this or learned this before, the King James Bible that many use has omitted the name of Yahwah, removed His name from His Word, not just the King James Version, but many of the English versions that have been translated from various languages. And they've replaced His name, Yahwah, with uppercase L-O-R-D in all uppercase letters, uppercase G-O-D in all uppercase letters, and the errors of Jehovah and Jesus. Yes, you heard me correctly. They were errors. The name Jesus is less than 300 years old. It goes back to I-E-S-O-U-S, which goes back to I-E-S-U-S, that's found in the 1611 King James Version, and then the later 1700 version introduced the J-E-S-U-S. Therefore, as I share with you Scripture, and I come across these uppercase LORDs, uppercase GODs, and 2 errors of Jehovah and Jesus, I will properly put back into the word his name where it was removed, as I will also encourage you to know that our pledge of allegiance, our pledge of dedication, consecration, is to our God, Yahweh, that gave us breath, who freed us from hierarchy of monarchy rule to establish the 13 colonies of the United States that were once the Republic of the United States of America, later to become a corporation. And since Yahweh Almighty raised up our President Trump, and many who helped him, we have now attained our republic back under a virgin constitution. And this is where we are if we honor the God, Yahweh, who gave us breath. And by the way, that Mashiach, remember what the word says? The word says, great is the mystery of godliness, for God, Yahweh, was manifest in flesh. Therefore, that child, born of a virgin, was given the name above all names, his father's name, Yahweh, at birth. And he is our only Savior. He is our only God. He is our only Redeemer. Thus says Isaiah 44:6 that Yahweh is the King of Israel and his Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts. I am the first, I am the last, and beside me there is no God. There is no Elohim. And this is where we are. And with this in mind, I want to read you a verse out of Psalm 33:12. The Complete Jewish Bible reads, "How blessed is the nation whose God is Adonai." Now this Adonai is written in all uppercase letters, just as uppercase LORD. Therefore, Psalm in the Complete Jewish Bible, Psalm 33:12, should properly read, "How blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh, the people he chose as his heritage." KJV reads, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the uppercase LORD." Again, this uppercase LORD replaced his name, therefore Psalm 33:12 in KJV should rightfully read, "Blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh, and the people whom he has chosen for his own inheritance." Know this, American woman, and any other woman in earshot, know this, that it was against the law in this nation to practice pagan, any kind of anything pagan. If you go to Jeremiah chapter 10, it speaks of cutting down a stalk. KJV uses the word stalk. It's a tree. And decking it with silver and gold. Doesn't that sound like a pagan Christmas tree? It surely is. And you could be arrested and or fined, put in jail for celebrating this pagan practice. In other words, our 13 colonies were established by Israeli men choosing to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose only name was Yahweh. And we find this example set forth with the second governor for the state of Massachusetts by the name of William Bradford. William Bradford is buried in one of the oldest graves in the state of Massachusetts, and his tombstone bears record of the Yud-Hey, Waw-Hey, the characters that spell Yahweh, on his tombstone. In fact, it says Yahweh is good. So with this in mind, ladies, remember those 10 commandments that you have hanging on your wall? By the way, they were never called Christians at Antioch either. Look, there's a lot of people now that want to awaken with all what's going on in backdoor news. What's going on really in our nation. And people are waking up at the filth and the darkness that's been going on underneath our feet for 50 plus years. It's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. And it goes back to ancient times where they offered up child sacrifice to their gods Moloch and Baal. This kind of trash has been going on in this nation and all around the nations, and Yahweh raised up our President Trump to put a stop to it, along with the help of our military, our first responders, and this has been going on. These rescuing children has been going on for the last couple of years. And now we stand as a republic of the United States of America that does not even know who their God is. They call him some J name, they call him some Shua name, and this was never given. These names were never given to our Redeemer. Remember, Isaiah said, the King of Israel is Yahweh, and his Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts. I am the first, I am the last, and beside me there is no Elohim. There is no God. I am the Aleph and Tau. I am the Aleph and Tau, the first and the last. Some say Alpha and Omega. That's Greek. We did not get our scriptures from the Greeks. No, we did not. We got our scriptures from Israeli writers. The writers of your King James Version were of the 12 tribes of Israel. Yes, they were. The 12 tribes of Israel. The writers of your KJV are of Israeli descent. They were never called Christians at Antioch. That term Christians, Christ, all of this stuff came from Rome. And who ruled the world at one time? The Romans and the Greeks. And what did they do? They enforced worship of their deities, and Zeus was a biggie, later to become Jesus. And Rome, Vatican City, is an entity of the underworld, just as Washington, D.C., just as London. And Yahweh Almighty is working to bring them down and reveal to the world what is really going on and who he really is. So while you're awakening, American woman, to the fact of what's really going on in your nation, it's time to awaken to the fact that the name of your God has been removed from his word and replaced with an impostor, the Zeus name. You're judgmental. No, I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Maybe you don't want to hear the truth. It does sound pretty bad, but please know, I do not question anyone's experience because I remember where I came from. I once called on this fictional character. I once called on that J name. And then I thought it was a Shua name. No. Yes, Yahweh is our Yeshua. Yahweh is our salvation. But his name was the same as his father's name. He was that lamb given the name above all names. So with this in mind, let's get to our 10 Commandments. Probably going to have to do this in 2 or 3 parts, because I want to break down those 10 Commandments that you women have hanging on your wall, or whatever, hanging in your heart. And look, Yahweh Almighty has blessed anyone that honors his word and lives his word. He honors the integrity of anyone's heart. And he has winked at all of our ignorance for hundreds of years. This nation was established for the freedom to worship only the one God, Yahweh. But the redcoats kept coming, and then Rome came, and they established their labeled systems. Yahweh didn't give humans a label. He identified them as Israel and the Gentiles, the nations, the Goyim. We're not brands. We're not labels. There's good people and there's bad people. The word says, I need to retract that. Mashiach himself said when they called him good master, he said, there is none good, no, not one. No, there's none good. Now, we might look at people and look at their fruit, and they manifest wonderful deeds, and they're doing things with the integrity from their heart to help people, to save trafficked children. Oh, many, many years. Is it any wonder that it's now time to awaken to know that your God has only one name and not many names? Yes, many attributes, but he has only one name, and that word name is in the singular tense from cover to cover. Now, some want to go to Isaiah and say, well, his name shall be called Wonderful. You know wonderful is an attribute and is not a name, an identification, a means of identification. Yes, he's our counselor. You know, counselor is not a name. It's another type of an attribute. It's like an office that he would hold. He will be what he will be. He will be our doctor. He will be our lawyer. He's our redeemer. He's our savior. He's our God. He's our creator. He's the one that gave us breath. But none of these are his names. These are his attributes, his offices, his titles that he holds. He is also known as the mighty God. God is a title. It's an office. He is the everlasting Father. Look, a man, ladies, does not become a father until he has a child. A man does not hold an office of a father until he has a child. Remember, Father is a title. Son is a title. These are positions. For example, my husband, Jerry Kirk. That's his name, Jerry Kirk. Jerry Kirk held the office of a father. He is the father of our children. But his name is Jerry Kirk. Jerry Kirk held the office of a son. He was his father's son. Jerry Kirk, when his body left this world, or his body went 6 foot under and his spirit left, that spirit, that human spirit, is known as Jerry Kirk. So he held these offices, yet he was identified by his name. And we all know, surely you remember from your English, that proper names of persons, places, and things do not change from language to language. Now, they might be pronounced a little bit different because of dialectic pronunciation, but proper names of persons, places, and things do not change unless one just deliberately changes their name. Back to the 10 Commandments. So let's look at those 10 Commandments hanging on your wall. All right, the first thing that you see on your first commandment is, it says from your KJV, it says, you shall have none other gods before me. Now, we need to stop right there. Who's the me? Who is the me? We have to back up to the previous verse. In fact, I want to go back a little bit farther. I want to start with Deuteronomy 5 and 6. Again, I will be placing Yahweh's name back where I see Lord in all uppercase letters and God in all uppercase letters, as well as in the complete Jewish Bible replaced his name with Adonai in all uppercase letters. Some of the other Hebrew versions use Hashem and replaced his name with Hashem. However, know this. In the exact Hebrew characters for Israeli Hebrew script, they kept his name with the Hebrew characters Yud-He, Waw-He. Isn't that amazing? But they gave the English titles. Why did they do that? Who had the right to replace his name? Back to the commandments. All right, so let's start with Deuteronomy 5 and 6. Deuteronomy 5 and 6 from the Complete Jewish Bible says, I am Yahweh, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, where you lived as slaves. KJV reads, I am Yahweh, your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. What's bondage? Did you ever look it up? It means you're a slave. It means you're somebody's servant. It gets into even worshipers or servants, as in a sense, as prophets. The Levitical priesthood, they were servants unto Yahweh in the temple. Any kind of a servant. Servant sounds better than slave, doesn't it? If you have a job, you're somebody's slave. Servant. All right? So if you work for someone, you are their servant or you are their slave. Those words can be interchanged. However, there's been such negative talk over slavery. Look, you can be a slave, you can be a servant. They're both the same thing. All right, so we've all been slaves to something, correct? Number one, spiritually, our Egypt, as believers, was maybe not necessarily from Egyptian bondage per se in the natural, but the spirits of darkness that possessed us. And Yahweh Almighty so graciously filled us with His Holy Spirit. And we all make a start somewhere, because every human being from the beginning of time has been given the measure of faith. This is recorded in Habakkuk, and the book of Romans. So we know that because every human has been given the measure of faith, then Yahweh deals with that person wherever they are in their walk without a label. Without a label. So whatever bondage you have been so graciously and miraculously delivered from, into whatever system you ended up with, that doesn't change your relationship and the experience that you had just because you got into a system who taught you the wrong name. All right, moving on. This brings us to verse 7, the one that you got hanging on your wall. You shall have none other gods before me. So we've already identified who the me is in verse 6. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage where you lived as slaves. So, you shall have no other gods before me. So now we have established the fact from His word who the me is. This is in your commandments. We can call Him whatever He wants. He knows who we're talking to. Does He? Does He? Let's read on through these commandments and see what He really knows. Verse 8. You shall not, I'm going to read from the Complete Jewish Bible. You are not to make for yourselves a carved image or any kind of representation of anything in heaven above, on the earth beneath, or in the water below the shoreline. KJV reads, you shall not make unto you any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Now, a lot of women want to have all these little three-dimensional figurines. People make statues in memorial for good intentions, but it goes against the word. It goes against the word. Now look, I've already read the first commandment, and some people, well, we don't believe that. We can believe the God of our choice. Let's just tear that first commandment out. You shall have no other gods before me. We can call Him anything we want. So you've just, we don't care. It doesn't matter. He knows what we're talking about. Rip. So you just rip that out. Okay, so then we get to this next part of this first thing. You shall have none other gods before me. And He kind of gets specific. He said, you shall not make unto you any graven image, no carved images of any kind to represent of anything in heaven above, or the earth beneath, or the water below the shoreline. And look at this nation. Now, we didn't start off that way with the 13 colonies. A lot of this stuff didn't start until evil people took over and made this nation change from a virgin republic to a corporation where they can make money and make the people their slaves for their benefit, to make them the mighty dollar and get us to believe lies and just become like herded cattle, believing just what they tell us, just because they look like they're such a good person, and they say all these wonderful things, and da-da-da-da-da, and they tickle your ears with all these lies, just as they've done for years and years and years. We've been in a mess for too many years. Again, while you're waking up to the fact that this nation is in a serious trouble if Yahweh Almighty does not move for her, and what if we're calling on the wrong one? And that wrong one is really a fictional character? That Zeus, if you do a study on Zeus, Jesus goes back to Iesus, which goes back to Iesous. And guess who that is? The son of the Greek sky god Zeus, a mythological character. Well, I've seen miracles in that, and I've been healed in that name. Well, I don't know if it was just the name. It might have been the integrity of the word that you lived and the faith that you had in his word that says, is there any sick among you? Call for the elders of the assembly, and the prayer of faith will save the sick, and if they have committed any sins, that they will be forgiven them. So you obeyed that word, and you called for the elders, and you obeyed that word, and Yahweh honored your faith in what you walked in and all that you knew. You didn't know anything else. And we've all ignorantly called on a pagan deity that has no life. I know that sounds terrible. And again, this doesn't question your experience. We're supposed to walk in faith. Remember, we're all given a measure of faith. But what do we do with that measure of faith? Do we let it lie stagnated? Because when we hear something like this, I don't want to hear that, because it makes you afraid, and maybe it makes you think, well, who is this crazy woman on there telling me that I'm not saved? I'm not saying you're not saved. I didn't say that. I don't deny anyone's experience. I'd be an idiot to do that. I know where I came from. I know how Yahweh delivered me, and he took me from faith to faith to faith. But I stayed hungry for truth. And truth does not scare me. I don't care if it's natural, what's really going on in this nation, or if it's spiritual. I don't care. I want to know the truth, and I want to live the truth with a circumcised heart. And this is something that you have to search out for yourself. No one can tell you things. You have to search for it. Just like you hear all these backdoor news people. And they have some truth to tell. And sometimes they give you diversions because they're instructed to do that. Because who wants the enemy to know what we're really doing, right? Right. So we listen to things and we start to see things how they really are. So while you're waking up to the natural, it's time to wake up to the spiritual. And it does matter what you call him. There's only one God with one name. One God with one name. So he says, don't make any graven images. Don't make any statues. Don't make any carvings. You know, I know people do this with good intentions. People do things from the goodness of their heart. They want to do something, but they've never been taught not to do it. Because we have inherited lies that it's okay. And this is a commandment. This is part of the commandment. Oh, well, let's just rip that commandment out too. Rip. So, you could call him anything you want. That rips out the first commandment. This is part of the first commandment. Let's just rip that out too. We can do anything we want. We're free to choose. Yes, we are. We're all free to choose. Yahweh Almighty does not want robot service. He wants you to be hungry for what's truth, no matter how bad or how good it sounds. It's up to all of us to study and search it out. Verse 9. Let's go to Deuteronomy 5 and 9. He goes on to say about these graven images, these idols, you are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I, Yahweh, there's that uppercase L-O-R-D and uppercase Adonai again, for I, Yahweh, your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents also the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. Whoa! Those who hate me? Those who hate me? Whoa, I can see I'm not going to get very far with this. I'm going to stop here. Until next time, may Yahweh encourage you women to search for the truth concerning your 10 Commandments. Shalom.